Members, it's the appointed time and we have a quorum. I call the meeting of the panel on security to order. Item 1 on the agenda, information paper issued since the last meeting. No information paper has been issued so far. Second item, work of the Immigration Department in assisting Hong Kong residents in distress outside Hong Kong. Now I will invite the Secretary and the relevant officials to come in. If members would like to put questions regarding this item, please press the button now. If I may remind members, this meeting will end at 4:30 p.m. and after that there will be another meeting, so I will not be able to extend the meeting. I will be strict with the speaking time. When your time is up, please stop speaking. Now we're at item 2 of the agenda. After the Secretary has taken a seat, I will ask him to brief us on the paper. There are 6 members who have pressed the button: Mr. Chairman Kwan, Ms. Carmen Khan, Mr. Dominic Lee, Mr. Fa Fung Kwok, Mr. Johnny Ng, and Mr. Holden Chow. 6 of them. 4 minutes, including question and answer. When time is up, I will stop you. So please set aside time for the Secretary to make a reply, unless you just want to give your view. Secretary, are you ready? Thank you. Chairman, members, good afternoon. I'm here to brief members on the latest progress of the work of the Immigration Department in assisting Hong Kong residents in distress and enhancing public awareness of outbound travel safety through publicity. Hong Kong has maintained frequent external business and trade activities. Hong Kong people are keen travelers going on journeys around the world. Since the reunification, the Office of the Commissioner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, OCMFA, and the Chinese Diplomatic and Consular Missions, CDCMs overseas, protect Hong Kong residents overseas. We have upheld the principle of the safety of Hong Kong's people is no trivial matter. The interests of compatriots are extremely important. Since the establishment in 1999, the Assistance to Hong Kong Residents Unit AHU provide round-the-clock assistance to Hong Kong residents in distress outside Hong Kong. The AHU has been established since 1999. As at October this year, we have received 80,000 assistance requests from Hong Kong residents. Since the epidemic subsided, the AHU has received more assistance requests. And the type of incidents that Hong Kong residents come across overseas have become more diversified. AHU provide services such as issuing travel documents, providing urgent assistance to Hong Kong residents hospitalized or suffering from illnesses, or those who have encountered traffic accidents, as well as those who have been arrested, imprisoned outside Hong Kong, assisting Hong Kong residents stranded outside Hong Kong due to major emergency incidents to return to Hong Kong safely, and assisting Hong Kong residents who had become victims of incidents outside Hong Kong. In the first 10 months this year, we have received 2,730 cases. 60% involve Hong Kong people losing travel documents outside Hong Kong. The AHU will provide the assistance seekers the location of the CDCMs overseas and help them in applying for travel documents for returning to Hong Kong, as well as verifying their resident status to facilitate the issuance of the said documents by the CDCMs. In terms of people being hospitalized or suffering from illnesses overseas, we have received 596 assistance requests as at the end of October this year. The AHU will notify the relatives of the incidents and contact the local hospital through the CDCMs or the Hong Kong SAR government offices in the mainland to keep abreast of the latest situation, and the AHU will also help the relevant family members of the victims. In terms of traffic accidents, after the AHU has received assistance requests, they will learn about the nature of the incidents through the CDCMs or the mainland offices by providing relevant assistance. They will offer a list of local legal representatives for subjects' reference in order to protect subjects' legitimate rights. When there is major emergency incidents, the AHU will work with the OCMFA and CDCMs to provide Hong Kong residents in distress with all practicable assistance. They will help the victims to come back to Hong Kong. Let me give you some examples. In October 2023, amid armed conflicts between Palestine and Israel, the OCMFA has maintained close liaison with the Immigration Department. With the assistance of the Chinese embassies and office in the places concerned, 59 Hong Kong residents and a tour group of 30 Hong Kong residents has successfully returned to Hong Kong. On the other hand, since the outbreak of military conflicts between Lebanon and Israel in late September 2024, 3 Hong Kong residents were safely evacuated from Lebanon by vessel or flight arranged by our country. Since 2022, there have been Hong Kong residents that have been suspected to have been lured to Southeast Asian countries and detained to engage in illegal work. The Security Bureau set up a dedicated task force in October 2022 to coordinate the follow-up actions taken by the relevant law enforcement agencies, with a view to providing all assistance to assistance seekers. Since the second quarter of 2024, there have been signs of resurgence of cases of Hong Kong residents being suspected to have been lured to Southeast Asian countries and detained to engage in illegal work. In 2024, as at the 25th of November, the law enforcement agencies have received a total of 23 assistance requests involving Hong Kong residents alleged to have been detained. Among them, 18 have returned to Hong Kong. As for the remaining 12 assistance seekers, while their movement is reported to be restricted, they are safe and able to contact their families or the AHU. Hopefully, through this meeting, members of the public will be aware of the personal safety risk involved when they travel outside Hong Kong. They should learn about the local culture and comply with the local laws and regulations. Please do not trust online recruitment advertisements easily, especially those without specific requirements for academic qualification or working experience. The Immigration Department has all along been leveraging on information technology with a view to further strengthening the assistance. In March and June last year, we have created the 1868 WeChat and WhatsApp assistance hotline, and we have also added the 1868 chatbot on the Immigration Department mobile application to provide more support for Hong Kong residents. Looking ahead, apart from helping Hong Kong residents in distress outside Hong Kong, the AHU will also continue to strengthen preventive work, including increasing public awareness of outbound travel safety and enhancing the AHU's emergency response capability. The Immigration Department will continue to work around the clock to render all practicable and appropriate support to Hong Kong residents in distress outside Hong Kong, as well as to keep abreast of the times by utilizing technology with a view to further enhancing the emergency support services provided to Hong Kong residents in distress. We will also continue to work with the OCMFA and to enhance the publicity on consular protection, thereby increasing residents' awareness of outbound travel safety. I will be happy to take questions. Thank you. With us today are Ms. Yuan So-ying, Assistant Director of the Immigration Department, as well as Ms. Chang Ah-ting, Principal Immigration Officer of the Immigration Department. We also have Ms. Trista Lim, Principal Assistant Secretary for Security. Mr. Chow Man Kwong. Thank you. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Security Bureau, and the Immigration Department have always rendered assistance to Hong Kong residents outside Hong Kong when they are in distress. But I think that we should intercept the risk at source. My first question regarding Hong Kong residents being lured to Southeast Asian countries to engage in illegal work. The Secretary mentioned just now there's been signs of resurgence of cases. And in November this year, there were 2 young persons who were being tried for conspiracy to defraud. With the signs of resurgence, can we conduct more online patrol or initiate covert operation to charge these illegal agents so that no more Hong Kong residents will be there to engage in illegal work. And I know that there is a outbound travel alert web page. The red, amber, and black signals. Can we ask the airline companies to alert the passengers who are purchasing tickets to countries with red or black or amber warning, asking them to think twice? This is better than having them seek assistance after being in distress. For countries with black, red, or amber alert levels, they are countries that are in war or at war. Thank you. Secretary. Now, regarding Hong Kong residents being lured to Southeast Asian countries to engage in illegal work, in 2022, there were 23 assistance requests received. 11 have returned to Hong Kong, and 12 said that they don't need assistance. And this year, there are 23 assistance requests. 11 have returned to Hong Kong. And for the remaining 12, while their movement is reported to be restricted, we are able to contact and reach out to them. We work on different areas. First, we enhance publicity. This is better than saving them after they have been stranded in the Southeast Asian countries. In online social media, we promote the message, and we also organize seminars and talks. We alert people of jobs offering extraordinarily high remuneration without specific requirements for academic qualification or working experience. We will continue with the publicity and promotion. Second, in terms of intelligence, as you said, we conduct online patrol, and for victims who have returned to Hong Kong, we investigate into them. Third, enforcement and international collaboration. As a lot of these cases happen outside Hong Kong, so international cooperation is very important. As for the outbound travel alerts, for black, we should not go to those countries. For red and amber, there are different levels of alert. For red, it would be best for people not to travel to those countries. As for amber alert levels, people should think twice before heading to those countries. There have been 88 countries that have been accorded with different alert levels. These are the countries where Hong Kong residents travel to very often. So before you travel, please log on to our website. For Ukraine, not a lot of Hong Kong residents travel there. Although they are not issued with any alert levels, we have put in place messages on the website alerting people of the risks involved in traveling to Ukraine. So should the airline companies be held responsible, or should they be responsible to alert the passengers traveling to places issued with warning? There are just ticket selling agencies. We don't think that they should be responsible to engage in such a work. Ms. Carmen Khan, thank you. I'd like to commend the Immigration Department's AHUs because they offered assistance to Hong Kong residents that have been stranded outside Hong Kong, especially in the conflict between Lebanon and Israel, and the Palestine and the Israel, as well as the 311 earthquake and the epidemic, Diamond Princess cruise ship, so on and so forth. In the end, well, I have an observation regarding the annex. It seems that in 2023, we have 85 traffic accidents involving Hong Kong residents. There is a great surge compared to the previous years. So how should we help people outside Hong Kong who are involved in traffic accidents? I tried out the 1868 WhatsApp and WeChat assistance hotlines. Whenever I type in 1868 on WeChat, there was a staff member replying to me within 1 minute. They support text, audio, images, and videos uploading. I don't think a lot of Hong Kong residents know about these functions. However, it's sometimes more direct for people to use WeChat and WhatsApp.
Secretary, on figures for traffic accident assistance requests, in 2020 to 2022, the figures were lower because not many were traveling. In 2023, it went back to 85, mainly because there was a full resumption of normal travel. As for some were concerned whether it is related to northbound travel of Hong Kong vehicles. Not one of the accidents is related to northbound travel for Hong Kong vehicles. Please rest assured. Now on 1868, enhancing publicity for the WeChat and WhatsApp applications would be important because indeed there are some data constraints at times. We will continue to promote consular protection work as well. Not only on the work, but also the channels to obtain such services. For example, 1868 hotline, the 1868 WeChat and WhatsApp applications, as well as the 1868 chatbot. That would actually be the most convenient channel because most of the assistant requests are actually inquiries. Chatbot would make use of AI, and the chatbot can immediately provide information to the individuals making inquiries. If necessary, referrals can be made as well. Well, I think this is worth promoting so that people know if they call the 1868 hotline, it may be a waste of time. We should refer them straight to the chatbot. I also want to ask, in 2019, there were only 11 traffic accident assistance requests. Can we do more in terms of helping those overseas know what to do if they're in traffic accidents? That would be ideal. Mr. Dominic Lee, thank you. Well, when someone is in distress outside Hong Kong, one would be very worried. With the country getting stronger, with the country's support, we are now going to be safer outside Hong Kong. I do thank the Immigration Department for providing assistance to citizens in distress outside Hong Kong so far. We have seen Hong Kong citizens being illegally detained overseas. The Secretary did mention rescuing some of the citizens. And it was mentioned some are doing fine even if their movement is restricted. Why is that? And you also said you received 23 assistance requests this year, and 12 have yet to be resolved. Do you have any measures to ensure expedited processing of such cases? Can you work with the central authorities or even overseas authorities to resolve the cases? Lastly, on promotion. We do much in publicity in relation to scams. We see different slogans, we see a lot of ads online. But for these incidents in Southeast Asia, we do not see as much promotion. Can we engage KOLs to promote online about this? Can we also allocate more resources on the district level so that NGOs can do more in terms of promotion? Well, do you need to declare any conflict of interests? Well, I would like to declare that I'm a KOL. Secretary. Well, for illegal detention, there are different cases. Some would require a ransom to be paid. Some have their movement restricted. Some didn't really explain what happened. For each case, once the citizen has returned to Hong Kong, we would interview them, ask them why they were lured overseas, how they were released. But let me say this, most of the individuals went voluntarily and then they were detained there illegally. There was never a case that an individual was abducted. That is just an urban myth. All of the cases that we dealt with had the individuals gone there voluntarily. For those who have returned, we would provide full assistance to them. We had the help of the Chinese embassies, and we had cooperated with overseas law enforcement agencies. I may not be able to disclose the details, but we try our best to rescue every individual stranded overseas. We have also enhanced publicity on consular protection. In June of this year, we have started promoting Consular Protection Month, promoting the fact that Hong Kong's residents are entitled to consular protection while overseas, especially those who are lured overseas. Thank you. Mr. Ma Feng Kuo. For Hong Kong residents in distress outside Hong Kong, they can call the 1868 hotline. The Secretary talked about some related cases. We now have additional channels such as WeChat and WhatsApp hotlines. These will help citizens. I want to ask if the Bureau has any figures on the number of times the different channels are used. And how many are inquiries? How many are actual assistance requests? Because we are looking to provide actual assistance, so I want to ask how many of such requests would be actual assistance requests. When there is an actual assistance request, how will the Bureau deal with these requests on social media applications? Would you have an AI first handle the case and then, if necessary, perhaps if it is an emergency, appropriate support would then be provided? Thank you. Secretary. Thank you, Chair. For assistance requests, we have received them through the hotline and other channels. For the 1868 data call function from March 2021, 90% of the calls were made by normal calls, 10% with data calls. We have received, from April 2023, we have received 11,000 odd assistance requests. 23% were actual assistance requests. 77% are inquiries. From 18th of March 2023, we have 18 requests on WeChat, 7,596 inquiries, and the rest actual assistance requests. We have 2,500 cases dealt with by the AI chatbots. We have 588 cases that had to be referred to staff members. There are some calls that are actually dealt with by staff members immediately. If assistance is not necessary, referrals to information available online will be made. If there are actual assistance requests, we may liaise with the Chinese embassies or the consulates involved if necessary. For WeChat, if it is found to be inquiries, again, information referrals will be made if necessary. For AI chatbot, it is just an application. If the AI analyzes the request to be an inquiry, the AI would provide information. If not, they would make referrals to staff members to handle the requests. I want to ask if there is any internal monitoring of the AI to verify the AI chatbot's functions. Yes, we do have a 30-person team that would record all the requests made, and if action has been taken, if action is taken, whether the action is adequate. Thank you. Dr. Johnny I can see the Immigration Department has been doing well in helping Hong Kong residents in distress outside Hong Kong, as well as the Chinese embassies. These provide great protection for Hong Kong residents. So I want to ask about the figures of assistance requests. What are the top 3 places where you would receive assistance requests? I also want to ask, over the past 5 years, whether you have received assistance requests from overseas Hong Kong residents. What are they seeking assistance for? Lastly, if there are BNO holders seeking assistance, and if they are in regions rife with protests, would you tell them to make sure, with BNO holders, would you help them? And then with those zones that are rife with protests, will you ask Hong Kong residents to stay away? We had mostly people traveling to the UK and to other places to make assistance requests. We won't ask them whether they are traveling or whether they are immigrants of the regions. We do not ask them for such information. That's why we do not have records on such. We do not ask whether they are BNO holders either. As long as they are Hong Kong residents, we would provide assistance to them. Thank you. Any other follow-up questions? None, thank you. Mr. Holden Chow. Well, I think we really have to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for helping us. I have received much feedback from citizens so far. And indeed, we have seen a lot of cases resolved. I want to ask, in the past 5 years, we have received hundreds of cases for assistance requests relating to hospitalization and illness. Are these illnesses that have a quick onset? Or is it the case that they are suffering from chronic illnesses, yet they chose to travel anyway? I want to ask what the situation is for these type of cases. Thank you.
Secretary, we don't categorize the types of assistance requests relating to hospitalized or suffering from illnesses. We don't look into whether they suffer from chronic illness, but it's not Usually, people suffer from sudden illness or they fall down on the street, and that's why they seek assistance. Mr. Holden Chow. So to put it simply, we're talking about sudden illnesses. When Hong Kong residents have to be hospitalized overseas, for say 1 to 2 months, will you be providing continuous support to them? Secretary, thank you. Well, it depends on the situation. If the victims is supported by the family members overseas, then there is nothing much that we can help. We refer them to the hospitals and we contact the family members for them. However, in some cases, while the couple has been injured and we cannot reach out to their families, then we will continue to support them until we can identify their family members. Mr. Yu Pak Leun. Thank you, Chairman. I thank the Immigration Department for improving the 1868 services so that we can have assistance. I also thank the OCMFA and the Chinese embassies overseas. During the epidemic, the OCMFA and the Chinese embassies have helped a lot of Hong Kong residents return to Hong Kong. In 2023, some 20 Hong Kong residents returned from the Palestine and Israel. I thank the Immigration Department for their help. I'd like to ask about the work of AHU. In 2020, the AHU is under the Immigration Department, and there are 26 staff under the unit, and 10 of them work 24 hours a day to provide services via the 1868 hotline. That's the 2020 figure. Now we have WeChat and WhatsApp services, along with other technology to save manpower. So what is the establishment right now under the AHU? For peak travel seasons, will you deploy more manpower to help Hong Kong residents overseas? Now regarding the outbound travel alert, the travel and the tourism sector is very much concerned about the system. I hope that the department will alert the sector early so that we can arrange for travel more smoothly. I know that there is a communication mechanism in place currently. I have this impression that sometimes after an alert level has been issued, they won't be taken down. And in France, there was farmers who protested. That's why you issue Amber Alert to France. And then in Thailand, there was a gunshot incident. That's why you issued a alert to them. So under what circumstances will you remove the alert? Secretary. I've talked about the staffing, but apart from the HU, there are 500 immigration officers that have been trained, and they have taken the 7-day worldwide emergency assistance services training program. When necessary, they will take calls at the command center. Say, for example, the Diamond Princess cruise ship incident, there were a lot of calls received by the AHU. That's why at that time we redeployed some of the staff to the AHU. These people are trained in communication skills and international landscape as well as crisis management. For the Diamond Princess cruise ship incident, we have redeployed some of our manpower to take calls. As for the outward or outbound travel alert system, we review regularly if we should change the alert levels to each country. The alert level should be issued having regard to the actual situation. When the risk has been alleviated, then we will lower the alert level. We sometimes issue alerts targeting a part of a country instead of the entire country. Next, Mr. Benson Look. Thank you, Chairman. The Immigration Department has all along provided appropriate support to Hong Kong residents in distress outside Hong Kong. I'm sure that Hong Kong residents in distress are satisfied with the support given by the Immigration Department and the OCMFA. When we travel abroad, we like to drive on our own. And there have been more cases where Hong Kong people were involved in traffic accidents when they are driving in Japan, in Taiwan, and in Iceland. When people are traveling, they are less alert, but prevention is always better than cure. Will you step up publicity and promotion targeting traffic accidents involving Hong Kong residents driving outside Hong Kong? We should ask people to think twice before driving outside Hong Kong. For Korea, Japan, Australia, these are the places where Hong Kong people like to drive in. Maybe we can put up their traffic rules on our website for the reference of our people. Second, there are Hong Kong people who have been lured to Southeast Asian countries to engage in illegal work. I know that the administration have stepped up publicity and promotion, and we're seeing results. I think that we should instead do film appreciation, targeting our youth and our students. And there was a film rolled out by our country on how someone was being lured to Southeast Asian countries to engage in illegal work, and the film is called No More Bets. I think that if we organize film appreciation, that would be more effective. Secretary, thank you. Regarding traffic accidents, we agree with your suggestion. Instead of warning them or threatening them, we should instead remind people that they should pay attention to their safety when they're driving outside Hong Kong, and they should purchase or take out insurance that cover delivery services and hospitalization. You talked about whether we should make a movie. That's a great suggestion, but we have to look at the cost involved. We try our best to remind Hong Kong residents so that they will not be stranded in Southeast Asian countries to engage in illegal work. Next, Mr. Tan Ka-pio. Thank you. The 1868 services are very well known, and I handled a case some 8 to 10 years ago. And the colleagues the staff working for the 1868 services were very responsible, but I think that we should step up publicity and promotion. If Hong Kong residents lose all their travel documents outside Hong Kong, they should call 1868 hotlines. But apart from that, what else can we help them if they lose all their travel documents? Second, sometimes Hong Kong residents need assistance and protection from OCMFA and the Chinese embassies outside Hong Kong. Some members of the public ask me if they should bring their home travel or home return permit when they travel outside Hong Kong, and they ask if they will get protection from OCMFA and the Chinese embassies if they don't have the home return permit. Secretary, thank you. Our colleagues try their best to help Hong Kong residents in distress outside Hong Kong. There was an incident happened in Zhejiang. We didn't know if that was true at that time, and we actually called around to see if there is any Hong Kong residents that needs assistance there. It turns out that the incident was not true. As for what kind of support we will render Hong Kong residents outside Hong Kong when they lose all their travel documents, well, they can seek help from the Chinese embassies. If they're outside China, if they're in the mainland, they can reach out to the mainland offices. As to whether the Hong Kong residents should bring their mainland travel permits for Hong Kong and Macau residents when they travel outside Hong Kong, well, regardless of whether they have brought this permit, they will be protected as long as they're Chinese nationals. And even if you're not a Chinese national, as long as you're a Hong Kong SAR resident, we will also render support. Because no consular protection is involved, we will try to give the relevant resident a list of legal representatives and help them contact their family members. Even if you don't have the relevant permit, there is a way for us to verify if you're a Chinese national. And if you have your permit, then you can take airplanes to Shenzhen and then being rerouted to Hong Kong. If you have the permit, then it will be easier for you to transit in the mainland if there is no direct route to Hong Kong. Next, Mr. Paul Che. Thank you, Chairman. I highly appreciate the work of the Immigration Department. Let me talk about my own experience. From 1991 to 1994, we have the Ngao Wing Chun incident. The Immigration Department helped the person greatly. I used to be I was a barrister at that time, and I helped handle the case, and that was when I first came across this service. And in 2010, I recalled the park incident in Manila. 8 Hong Kong residents passed away, and I went to Manila to help handle the case. The chief executive then also went there. We also have a Tan Long Wai incident that is still ongoing. I hope that the administration will continue to render their support. After commending the department, I have some questions. Are we only providing the services to Hong Kong permanent residents? What about those who have not continuously resided in Hong Kong for 7 years? And what about residents holding different passports, such as BNO holders? What is the division of work among the AHU and the OCMFA? What about what happens when other countries' embassies are involved? Thank you.
Secretary, first of all, let me clarify something. consular protection is a specific right for Chinese nationals. So it would only apply to Hong Kong residents who are Chinese nationals. But let me say this, consular protection would apply when, for example, someone is detained and they need to be visited by a consular official. But if we're only talking about people stranded, for example, those stranded in Lebanon, not all of them were Chinese nationals, and we provided assistance to them still, as long as they are Hong Kong residents, regardless of whether they are Chinese nationals. If they're not asking for consular protection services, we would provide assistance. As for dual nationalities, the country does not recognize dual nationalities. If one holds a Hong Kong SAR passport and is a Chinese national, one would be entitled to consular protection. Thank you. Mr. Lee Chun-kung. Thank you. For Hong Kong residents in distress outside Hong Kong, they definitely got the help they wanted. The services were rendered quickly, and they were quick to respond to different incidents. You now have different channels, WeChat, the 1868 WeChat account for one to make assistance requests. I do appreciate that. On publicity, well, let me say this. When leaving Hong Kong, I do not see any such publicity on these channels. Where did you put these ads or publicity on 1868? Do you only have this online? I think you need to do more promotion work, because if Hong Kong residents are in distress, they need to know that there is this service of 1868. As Mr. Benson Look said, many are now going on self-tours overseas, and they would drive. For different countries and regions, would you be able to provide some sort of information on the points to note in that particular place, and where to seek assistance, and some hotlines for specific departments in that place? Because it would save citizens time to find out such information themselves. If you have an online platform or a mobile phone software that you can detect where one is, and you can provide the hotlines in the specific region, that would definitely help citizens. I think you're doing good work, but I just think you can always do better. Thank you. Secretary, let me remind members of the public, we do have a service that you can register on. That is the registration of outbound travel information service of the Immigration Department. Once one has made a registration telling the Immigration Department when and where you'll be, if there is a particular incident in the region, for example, when there is war, when there is adverse weather, you do not have to seek help yourself. Our colleagues would tell you about the information you may need. But of course, I guess we have to enhance publicity of such service. with the 1868 service, as well as the registration of outbound travel information service and consular protection services. We want to promote it through our promotion work in relation to consular protection services. We have the Consular Protection Month roving exhibitions in the airport as well as shopping malls. In fact, we have also had an exhibition of such services in the Travel Expo. We also have such information available online on the Immigration Department's website. I think we can always do more, but I think most citizens know about the 1868 service now. Thank you. Mr. Lam San Kang, I would like to join the chorus to praise the efforts of the Immigration Department. They have rendered good assistance so far. When people travel for work or leisure, because Hong Kong is so safe, thanks to the efforts of the Security Bureau, we often forget how other places, for example, cities in the West, can be quite dangerous. If one is not careful, one may have their things stolen. We do have the 1868 service, but I do note during weekends, consulates would be closed. So how can timely assistance be rendered to citizens if embassies are closed? If one has lost all their travel documents due to their property being stolen, what kind of assistance would be provided to these individuals? Thank you. Secretary, the 1868 service is round the clock. While Chinese embassies may not be open every day, if you can access the 1868 service, we can contact embassy staff for the individuals, and timely assistance can be provided. Please rest assured, even during non-operational hours of embassies, assistance can be provided to residents. As for what kind of assistance will be available to those stranded overseas, especially in the form of financial assistance, the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau would provide financial assistance to individuals suffering different issues. At most, one can get $24,000, and the funds would be disbursed through the Immigration Department. It may sound like a small amount if one has to be hospitalized. What is going to happen? We will pay the costs for them, but then later on we will recover the costs for the individual, because the individual should be responsible for such costs. Yes, Mr. Lam San Kang. Well, I'm asking more about for cases who have lost travel documents, and perhaps if they cannot buy plane tickets, what is going to happen? Well, the Home and Youth Affairs scheme I mentioned was about major incidents, and one has been seriously injured or died. For other cases, we would pay the costs there, and we would recover the costs from the individual later. All right, it's now my turn to speak. Like other colleagues, I would like to thank the Bureau, the Immigration Department, and the OCMMFA for rendering assistance, timely assistance to Hong Kong residents so far. For the places that do not have Chinese embassies and would require Immigration Department officers to travel to that particular place, such as the Diamond Princess incident, it had exposed our Immigration Department officers to risks. So I want to ask, how has the government provided adequate protection to staff members Of course, it is important to provide assistance to citizens or residents, but then it is also important to ensure the safety of our officers. The outbound travel alert system covers 88 countries and territories. With the Belt and Road countries, some of them are not included in the outbound travel alert system. We have been encouraging travel to the Belt and Road countries. We have many operations of civic society organizations now taking place in the Belt and Road countries. With the strengthening ties of the civic society between Hong Kong and the Belt and Road countries, it is always ideal to provide more travel information about these places. Would you consider providing information about the non-included Belt and Road countries in the outbound travel alert system? Thank you, Secretary. The outbound travel alert system includes popular travel destinations of Hong Kong residents. We would review the list of countries and territories from time to time. If we consider the destination to be a popular travel destination, we will include that in the system. But let me say this, for the countries and territories not included in the OTA system, there will still be a section on the Immigration Department webpage that would talk about the different places that may have travel-specific information of concern to residents. Let me also say this. I would like to thank members for recognizing the Immigration Department's efforts so far. It is great. It is a great recognition for the hard work of our staff members. Let me also say that we have the professional certificate in worldwide emergency assistance services that would have knowledge equipped in various areas, including consular protection services and the more general skills such as communication skills. We do have a solid establishment. Apart from the 30-person team, we have 500 colleagues that are on standby. If necessary, we can deploy these officers. They have different kind of equipment. They have satellite phone, mobile phone, computer. Before deployment, we would conduct a risk assessment to make sure colleagues would be safe if they travel to a particular destination to conduct an operation to assist residents. We will also have back-end support. Once officers come back to Hong Kong, if they have dealt with disasters, we will also provide them with counseling services. Thank you. All right, thank you, Secretary. That's the end of the discussion for this item. Agenda item number 3, proposal on making permanent a one-time limited supernumerary post of Deputy Chief Fire Officer in the Fire Services Department. Let me remind members that in accordance with Rule 83A of the Rules of Procedure, members should disclose the nature of any direct or indirect pecuniary interests relating to the items under discussion before they speak on the item. Attending the discussion of this item, we have Mr. Michael Chuck, Undersecretary for Security, Ms. Rebecca Chung, Principal Assistant Secretary for Security, Mr. Derek Chen, Deputy Director of Fire Services, Public Safety and Corporate Strategy, Mr. Leung Wai Lok, Assistant Director, Fire Safety of the Fire Services Department. I have only seen 2 members press the request to speak button. Any other members who would like to speak, can you please press the request to speak button now? If not, I will draw the line here. Dr. Johnny Ng and Mr. Chen Pulang, I will assign a 4-minute time limit. Mr. Chirk, please. Thank you.
Chairman, the Fire Services Department proposed to make permanent one-time limited supernumerary post of Deputy Chief Fire Officer with effect from the 1st of April 2025. The post holder will continue to formulate and implement measures relating to fire safety of old buildings to enhance the fire safety levels of old buildings in particular. By this, we try to protect the property and interest of the people. The Fire Services Department has been working on enhancing the fire safety standards for industrial buildings, commercial buildings, and regular buildings. We conduct proactive patrol and follow up on the measures. The Fire Services Department, FSD, also rolled out a number of measures to create a safe living environment for the people. Since the creation of the time-limited Deputy Chief Fire Officer, the post holder has been working on enhancing the fire safety of old buildings, industrial buildings, and commercial buildings. And he also oversees the amendments to Cap 572. In April this year, there was a fire broke out in New Lucky House. As a result, people have been more concerned about fire safety. Because of that, the FSD has stepped up patrol and reviewed the direction, strategy, and planning for fire safety policies, enforcement, support, and public education. Moreover, the Fire Services Department has announced the Strategic Plan 2024-2026 in 2024, in which, with regard to operational preparedness, the strategic objective of prioritizing fire prevention efforts and operational preparedness to align with the challenges posed by, among other, aging buildings has been clearly set out. There is an imminent need for us to provide long-term dedicated manpower support for the FSD to carry out relevant decision-making and steering work, so that we can continually enhance the fire safety standards of buildings. In light of this, I propose to make permanent the time-limited supernumerary post of Deputy Chief Fire Officer so that the post holder can adopt targeted approach to enhance fire safety standards of old buildings, review the relevant strategies and policies to support owners and occupiers of old buildings in complying with the regulations and legislations. These are ongoing work. After the passage of the amendments to Cap 572, there is numerous defaulted works to be carried out. We need a permanent Deputy Chief Fire Officer to continue to steer the FSD with the high-level coordination skills. The officer will adopt a forward-looking manner to take forward the overall plan for enhancing fire safety in Hong Kong. Moreover, having a permanent DCFO post to lead their team will not only demonstrate the government's determination in enhancing the overall fire safety standards of old buildings across Hong Kong, but it also meets the actual needs. Practical experience show that it is necessary for the FSD to continue reviewing and formulating relevant policy initiatives and facilitation measures, given the wide spectrum and complexity of the concerns involved and very heavy workload, as well as the need to continuously maintain close liaison with the relevant bureaus and departments to work towards the objective of enhancing the fire safety standards of all buildings together. An officer with an outstanding coordination and leadership, extensive management experiences, and strategic thinking are essential. They are also required to strategically utilize their extensive fire safety knowledge and experience to steer, plan, formulate, undertake, supervise, and implement relevant measures to enhance the fire safety standards of all buildings in a holistic manner. We consider it crucial to make permanent the DCFOBI post and let them continue leading their team in carrying out the work and their duties. The details of the proposals have been set out in the paper that we've submitted. We welcome comments from members. Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Johnny Ng, thank you. The fire safety of old buildings have a lot to do with the safety of people's lives and their property. So as a part making this post permanent, we have 14,000 old buildings in Hong Kong. I wonder if there is any KPI as to when we can enhance the fire safety standards for these buildings. Will this post be made permanent indefinitely, or will the relevant post holder be redeployed to carry out other works? As at the end of September 2024, we have inspected over 11,000 target buildings, and we have issued directions to over 10,500 of those buildings. And we will continue to inspect all the rest of the buildings and issues directions. As for the buildings that have been issued with directions, 1,000 of them have fully complied with the directions. Around 6,000 target buildings are having positive progress in the process of complying with the requirements. And there are approximately 1,200 target buildings that have initial progress. For those lacking progress without reasonable excuse, there are about 2,000 of them. Upon the issuance of warning letters or expiry of the directions, we will initiate prosecutions against the building owner starting from the second quarter of 2024. We will adopt the following strategies to enhance the compliance rate of the CAP 572. For target buildings having positive progress, we will provide relevant support and advice. We provide necessary support, including financial support, coordination support, and technical support, so that CAP 572 can be complied with. For target buildings having applied for Fire Safety Improvement Work Subsidy Scheme, the Urban Renewal Authority will provide one-stop support to facilitate the completion of fire safety improvement works. For cases lacking progress without reasonable excuse, we are reviewing the relevant cases and may take enforcement action against recalcitrant cases without reasonable excuse to enhance deterrent effect. Hopefully, they will comply with the relevant requirements as soon as possible. As for the remaining several hundred of target buildings, particularly owners of 3 new buildings, they may still have difficulties in complying with the FSBO CAP 572 due to the lack of coordination capacity. We will adopt targeted strategies to assist these owners. In collaboration with the buildings department, we will carry out defaulted works for them, and after the works have been carried out, we recover costs from them. On the 10th of July, we have introduced the bill to the Legislative Council for the first and second readings. And the bills committee was formed to scrutinize the bill. And next Wednesday, we will resume second reading debate on the bill. Upon passage of the bill, the FSD and the BD as the enforcement authority will proactively implement the relevant defaulted works on behalf of the owners. At the initial stage, upon passage of the bill, we will put in place a pilot scheme targeting some 10 to 20 buildings, and we will continue to implement the measures. Apart from steering and implementing CAP 572 amendments, the DCFO is also responsible for the other 2 ordinances that are the Fire Safety Commercial Premises and Industrial Buildings ordinances. The compliance rate is different because there is management for commercial and industrial buildings. I believe that the DCFO need to continue to work on enhancing fire safety standards across different buildings in Hong Kong. Next, Mr. Chan Pui Lun. Thank you, Chairman. Now, Dr. Zhang was asked about the schedule. I'd like to follow up because I know that there are 2,000 cases lacking progress without reasonable excuse. These owners and occupiers know what they should do, but they don't comply with the regulations regardless. Will the enforcement authority step in by carrying out defaulted works for them? And I wonder how long it takes for such cases to be closed. CAP 572 was implemented in 1972 or 2007. For buildings aged over 20 years old, they have to comply with the modern fire safety standards. Now, 17 years have passed. For buildings that was built in 1987, have they complied with the modern standards? Will we see more target buildings in the future? Thank you. After passage of the bill, the Buildings Department, the FSD, will be empowered to step in to carry out defaulted works, and we can recover the cost after the work's been carried out. Building maintenance is the responsibility of the owners, because after maintenance, their property value will go up. As for cases lacking progress without reasonable excuse, we have to look at the reason why they don't comply. For 3 new buildings that don't have the ability to form an owners corporation, we will liaise with the HAD to help them. We don't just choose target buildings that don't comply with the regulations as our target buildings. For buildings built before 1987, we ask them to upgrade their fire safety equipment. It does not mean that there is a fire hazard within the building, and also does not mean that the buildings don't comply with the fire safety ordinances. We adopt a risk-based approach before we step in to carry out defaulted works. We look at whether the building is a composite building, we look at the age of it, and whether it has a single staircase. We try to be transparent, and under the 3 relevant ordinances, there are statutory advisory committees. They offer us advice. As for how many target buildings we can work on, we estimate that approximately 200 to 400 buildings require defaulted works. We believe that upon implementation of the pilot scheme, every year we can work or carry out defaulted works for 20 to 60 target buildings. Under the pilot scheme, we'll work on 10 to 20 target buildings first. For directions, sometimes it has to do with fire safety equipment. Some of them have to do with the smoke stop doors of the common parts or the relevant apartments. And this is what we call building services. As for fire hazards, sometimes it has to do with personal behavior. For New Lucky House, a lot of the smoke stop doors was being blocked, and there are a lot of miscellaneous items in the means of escape. When we come across such cases, we issue fire hazard abatement notices. So all members have spoken. Do our member against the administration submitting the establishment proposal to the establishment subcommittee? No objection. That concludes our item 3. Now, item 4, proposal on extending the duration of a supernumerary post of Assistant Director of Immigration. Again, if you have direct or indirect pecuniary interest in relation to the item, please disclose the nature of the interest before you speak. I will again ask Mr. Michael Check, Undersecretary for the Security, to brief us on the paper, and then I will invite members to put questions. With us today are, well, apart from Undersecretary for Security, we have Mr. Choi Ting-yat, Assistant Director of Immigration Department, Mr. Chen Wai-lit, Assistant Director, Immigration Department, and Ms. Joyce Chan, Principal Assistant Secretary. Undersecretary, whenever you're ready.
介紹文件，同埋議員同事。
When you're ready, please give a presentation, and members who wish to speak, please press the Request to Speak button. Chair, the Security Bureau and the Immigration Department will brief members on the latest progress on the handling of non-refoulement claims. We also propose to retain a time-limited directorate supernumerary post of Assistant Director of Immigration in the Immigration Department. The government attaches great importance to the bogus refugee issue. We hope that under the highest standards of fairness, we will expedite the handling of non-refoulement claims and removal of unsubstantiated claimants to prevent them from overstaying in Hong Kong, thus posing a security risk to citizens of Hong Kong. We have practiced interception at source. We have also lowered the economic incentives of non-refoulement claimants. We have enhanced detention and expedited removal so that we will return the non-refoulement claimants to their countries of origin. We have met the relevant indicators in recent years. For example, during the pandemic, we have seen at the end of 2023 a surge in the figures of non-ethnic Chinese illegal immigrants. With the help of different authorities, we have seen a drastic decrease in the number of illegal immigrants intercepted to 60 in this year. The Immigration Department will continue to combat illegal workers. We will conduct no less than 13,200 inspections. We have worked joint operations with mainland authorities and neutralized a cross-boundary forgery syndicate, resulting in the arrest of a number of syndicate members, illegal workers, and suspected employers. The Torture Claims Appeal Board has also expedited processing of the cases. The Immigration Department right now takes 10 weeks to deal with a single torture claim case. Torture Claims Appeals Board has also shortened its processing time from 7 months to 4 months now. On detention, in 2023, we have included the Naku Correctional Institution as an immigration detention facility. It will undergo in situ expansion. In 2025, it will be able to provide 40 additional detention places, and the overall detention capacity will increase to 940. For the first 10 months of this year, we have returned 1884 non-refoulement claimants. We have exceeded the target. We have also passed the figure in 2023, 1,786. While we have made progress, we still have many challenges ahead. With the full resumption of normal travel, we have seen an increase of non-ethnic Chinese coming to Hong Kong. We have an increase of non-refoulement claims. We have 15,700 non-refoulement claimants staying in Hong Kong for various reasons. We will continue to practice interception at source in different places. We will enhance intelligence exchange with the mainland and Macau to combat such. And starting from September of this year, we also will make good use of the API system, Advanced Messenger Information System, to prevent those who may potentially abuse the non-refoulement claim system to come to Hong Kong. We have already 20 airlines connected to this API system. We will also continue to enhance the combating of illegal employment to reduce the economic incentives for potential non-refoulement claimants and non-ethnic Chinese illegal immigrants to come to Hong Kong. We will also expedite the removal of non-substantiated claimants. Therefore, we propose to retain the post of Assistant Director of Immigration in this area for 2 years to continue to steer the handling of non-refoulement claims and set up claimant-related measures to expedite removal of non-refoulement claimants to and safeguard public interest. The relevant proposal is detailed in the paper. I urge members to support our proposal to be submitted to the Establishment Subcommittee for consideration. All right, I'll assign a 4-minute time limit. Ms. Jovi Chen. I do see the paper is about a proposal to retain the post for 2 years to deal with the bogus refugee issue. This issue is close to the hearts of many because they make use of social assistance. They also pose a security risk. In paragraph 24, it says that the staff on cost in the full annual average staff cost would be $3.8 million. I don't think anyone would object to having this post to deal with the bogus refugee issue, but we have to consider the cost effectiveness. I do see you achieve good results, but I could see that last October for unsubstantiated claimant figures, 14,694 of them were still staying in Hong Kong for various reasons. In paragraph 6 of this paper, so a year from then, we have 15,700 claimants staying in Hong Kong still. The Security Bureau has a host of measures to combat the issue, but it seems that there is an increase in the number of claimants in Hong Kong now. So what happened to the indicators? I guess people expected a decrease, but we now see an increase. We do see the Advanced Passenger Information System coming into operation, but as at end of October, only 7 airlines were connected to the system. We want to make progress, of course. How can the Bureau make sure there is full implementation in September 2025? Thank you. Undersecretary. We do have some indicators in place. Excuse me, Chair. We now adopt a strategy, a 6-pronged approach. We are expediting processing of claims. We have streamlined the process to the extreme, basically. On appeals, the process has also been streamlined. We now have an indicator to handle 3,000 cases per year. And last October, I reported to members that we have made changes in the sense with applications for judicial review or appeal or leave application being rejected, we would remove them right away. We have had 302 persons removed as a result. The detention facilities right now have an 85% occupancy rate. We have also been combating illegal employment. We have seen a large number of illegal immigrants. Since full resumption of normal travel, we see 360 illegal immigrants per month. With the collaboration between authorities, we have now compressed the number to 60. Before, we had 300 odd per month. That's why we were still dealing with the cases, resulting in a slight increase in the number of claimants still in Hong Kong. But let me also say this, the removal figures are higher than those of last year. But let me say this, even with the number of illegal immigrants being 3,000 odd, it seems that we are not removing enough. So how can we do better? I think you can follow up on this at a later meeting, perhaps, because we have a tight time limit here. Thank you. Mr. Lai Tong-kwok. Thank you. We need to look at the figures here. We have removed 1,884 bogus refugees. We have in total a bit more than that. In 2023, how many claims have we received? The Secretariat has done good research. 2,130 of them, it seems. So it's just offsetting the entry figures, it seems. We have had fluctuations more or less around the number of 15,000. It has not seen a significant decrease ever. So I'm not exactly sure how much one can do in 2 years. But let me say this, I do support the proposal because we do have to tackle the issue. I see 2 figures missing in the paper. I hope that the Bureau can provide them after the meeting. 1, cases awaiting processing by the Torture Claims Appeal Board. 2, judging from the year that a case was submitted to the courts, the cases of judicial reviews that had yet to be handled. The latest policy is that if an application of judicial review is rejected, one can be removed. So I want to know about how many cases have submitted a JR application and is still awaiting processing. I see 2 pain points here. 1, from past figures, most non-refoulement claimants would fill in a Form 86 to submit a judicial review application. But it seems that according to the judiciary, for Form number 86, it does not say that the court has to intervene. So it seems that most are engaging in judicial review as a delaying tactic. I do trust the court's capacity, and they have really taken their time to deal with the applications one by one. Can we work with the judiciary to streamline the process even further to expedite handling of such applications, including amending the immigration ordinance? If people do not raise any justifications for applying for leave to apply for a judicial review, that is, they do not even meet the threshold, can we just throw out the claims altogether? With this approach, we can clear the backlog cases faster. Sorry, I have another comment. Excuse me, Mr. Lai. I think I heard you discuss this many times with the Undersecretary. You may proceed, but please be brief. Thank you, Chair. Well, I think with the processing of such applications, we need the individual to apply for travel documents, and they often delay this to stay in Hong Kong. Can we work with the authorities of these countries to obtain travel documents as quickly as possible? And that would again help with our backlog cases. These are my 2 comments. Thank you. Undersecretary.
先啊，黎議員要求
Do you have the 2 figures that Mr. Lai requested? I do. We have approximately 1,150 odd applications for TCAB, and we have 50 odd cases pending JR. Mr. Chairman Kwong. Thank you, Chairman. I support the retention of the positions. But I wonder why it's renewed for 2 years only instead of 3 years. It seems that the issue of a bogus refugee is a structural one. Is there a way for us to process their applications or non-refoulement claims more speedily? And usually, the unsubstantiated claimants would apply for JRs or appeals. Is there any organizations that are supporting this group of people? These agents and organizations offer unrealistic hopes to these unsubstantiated claimants. They are selling out our people. Is there a way for us to combat such illegal act? Also, where do these claimants come from? What are the top 3 countries of origins? Some claimants tear off their passports in order to stay in Hong Kong. Is there a way for us to seek help from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs so that we can establish a speedy removal mechanism with the places of origins? We spend some billions of dollars per year. We are facing a fiscal deficit. Usually, violent cases involve non-refoulement claimants. Is there ways for us to deal with the cases to enhance our security? Undersecretary, thank you. Let me talk about where these non-refoulement claimants come from. They come from Indonesia, Pakistan, and Vietnam. For Indonesia, 60% of them used to be foreign domestic helper. They legally worked and stayed in Hong Kong before they filed for the application. As for our cooperation with other countries, this year we have been working with Vietnam. They help verify the identity of the refugees and they issue travel documents very speedily. They also help publicize our message there because probably their economy is recovering and we are having more trade activities, and the chief executive also visited Vietnam. We have received great help from the Vietnamese embassies. Among the 1,800 refugees that we have removed, 350 of them are Vietnamese. All of them left voluntarily. This is due to the efforts of various parties in persuasion. Most non-refoulement claimants stay in Hong Kong because of economic incentives. Most of them try to stay and work here. We have an KPI on the inspections of illegal employment black spots. We combat cross-boundary and local illegal employment. We try to also enhance the maximum penalty for employing illegal workers. Some employers hired 10 odd illegal workers, and they were subject to high level of penalty. By increasing the maximum penalty, we hope to increase deterrent effect. Next, Mr. Yu Pak-leun. Thank you, Chairman. In 2022 June, when we discussed the supernumerary position, the administration said that they will try to clear the backlog within 3 years' time. Today, there are still 15,000 odd claimants staying in Hong Kong for various reasons. I know that the administration is working hard on clearing the backlog, but it seems that there is not much progress. I'm not sure when we can terminate this position. I support the retention of the position because bogus refugees have wasted a lot of our resources. Without the team, we won't be able to solve the problem. Because of the non-refoulement claimants and bogus refugees, the administration has concern regarding relaxing visa arrangements for some countries. For Vietnam, from January to October, there were some 39,000 visitors coming to Hong Kong. Among these visitors, do we have any non-refoulement claimants? Because according to the paper, most claimants come from the mainland. They enter the mainland first and then they come to Hong Kong by sea. From September onwards, we have been implementing this API system by phases. 3 months have passed. There are only 7 airlines that have been connected to the system. What companies are they, and how many claimants come to Hong Kong by air? Thank you, Undersecretary. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Member, for the question. At that time, we tried to clear the backlog for 2 years. We're not talking about the overall claimants in Hong Kong. There are some 10,000 claimants that are involved in legal proceedings. That's not the cases that can be handled by the Immigration Department. There are still 800 outstanding cases. We don't have as many backlog as in 2016. Back then, we have 21,000 cases in our backlog. We have relaxed visa arrangements for Vietnamese visitors. We don't have any visitors coming to Hong Kong by air. Most of them come from the mainland. As for the API system, well, airlines have to connect their system to ours, and they have to upgrade their system before such connection can take place. We're at stage 2, and there will be 73 airlines that will have their system connected to the API system that account for 52% of the routes with Hong Kong as a destination. Hopefully by second quarter next year, all of the airlines would have their systems connected to our system. Altogether, we'll have 140 airlines connected. We have airlines from Shandong, Shenzhen, Shanghai, Qingdao have their systems connected to the API. Hong Kong Airlines and the Greater Bay Area Airlines have their system connected, and the Cathay Pacific will connect their system to the API by the end of October. I thank the Undersecretary for the figures. Take Vietnam as an example. After we have relaxed the visa arrangements, we don't see an increase in non-refoulement claimants from Vietnam. So I think that there is room for us to further relax visa arrangements for more countries. I'm the last to speak. Undersecretary, Same as other members, I support the retention of the supernumerary post of the Assistant Director of Immigration. We rely on the post holder to solve the non-refoulement claims. There are two expectations from the members of the public. First, we have to stop them from coming to Hong Kong. Second, we need to stop them from becoming a security time bomb of our community. Since September, we have launched the API system, but it covers only 52% of airlines by the end of this year. When will all airlines have their system connected? Are you worried that some claimants will come to Hong Kong via airlines that are not covered by the API system? Second, we have to stop these claimants from becoming a ticking time bomb in the community. Some non-refoulement claimants have broken the law, and I think that, we have seen an increase of 900 detention places, and the usage rate is some 65%. So there is still vacancy. How can we make use of or make full use of the vacancies for claimants that are violent? Should we detain them so that they will not stay in the community and work illegally? Two questions, Undersecretary. Thank you. The API systems is implemented in accordance with the International Aviation Ordinance. That's how we can screen visitors in advance. Before the implementation of the API system, the immigration officer act on intelligence and analysis as well as data to intercept false visitors at the boundary. In June 2025, hopefully all airlines coming to Hong Kong will be on this API system. Although the system only covers 50% of the airlines, we've seen results. We have rejected a few passengers, and one of the passengers who have been refused entry have filed for non-refoulement claims in Hong Kong previously. Second, on security, the police force has a dedicated team to work on the issue. And this team used to be led by Assistant Commissioner Crime. They work on prevention, publicity, promotion, and coordination with other places. For non-refoulement claimants with recognizance, we have some 630 of them being arrested due to various offenses being committed. They account for 6% of the 15,000 claimants staying in Hong Kong. They account for 20% of the total number of arrestees. This figure warrants our attention. We will continue to combat illegal acts or activities, especially triad societies that try to recruit such non-refoulement claimants. Most of these arrestees were arrested because of illegal employment. I think that no members object to the retention of the position. Do we agree to the administration submitting the establishment proposal to the establishment subcommittee? All agreed. Thank you. This concludes our item. Item 5, any other business? This is the last meeting of the panel on security in 2024. I thank the members for their contribution to the panel, and I thank the administration, the Secretariat for their support. There being no other business, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.